All right. Let's talk about LabWork 4. So the first one and the second one wanted to know if they are functions. So if I look at the first one here, and essentially what I want to do is get y by itself. So I'll have y to the third is equal to negative x plus 1. So y is going to equal to the cube root of negative x plus 1. And because that this is a cube root, that means I'm not going to have a plus and minus. Therefore, I'm only going to get a distinct y for every x I have. So therefore, x plus y cubed equal to 1 is a function. And that's choice A. There we go. And for the second one, same thing. I'm going to want to take this equation. I'm going to want to take this equation and get y by itself. So I got y squared is equal to negative x plus 1. However, when I get the y by itself, what's going to happen is that now I'm going to have a plus and minus, because when I take the square root of both sides, I have to have that plus and minus. And because of that plus and minus, okay, because of that plus and minus, that means every x that actually works under the square root is actually going to give me a positive and a negative value of for y. So therefore, I'm going to get two different y values. So which is going to make this not a function, which is choice B. Oh wow, interesting. Interesting. There we go. That looks better. There we go. All right, for number 3. Number 3, let me do this really quick. Move this up a tad. Right there. That means I should be able to move this up a tad as well. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there. All right, so this is asking for a min and a max. All right, so if I was to look at this, here's my max. And this max is going to be 0, 1, right? And this right here would be my min, which is 2 comma negative 3. So this is going to be my min, and this is going to be my max. And that would be my answer, which is choice A. So let me do this really quick. Bring this over just a tad. Bring this over just a tad, so that I can actually box this. Interesting. It's gone on the fritz. All right, let's just do this. Okie doke. Let's just do this. There we go. And there we go. All right, so that's choice A. All right, so on to number 4. All right, number 4. It's asking if it's odd, even, or neither. So it's giving me f of x is equal to x to the 5th minus x to the 4th. Let me write that better, actually. So it says f of x is equal to x to the 5th minus x to the 4th. All right? So when I'm looking for odd or even or neither, that means I want to find negative f of x, which would equal to negative x to the 5th plus x to the 4th. Next thing I want to do is find f of negative x. All right, so if I plug in x in for negative, if I plug in negative x in for x, then I should get that negative x to the 5th minus that negative x to the 4th. So what am I going to get? I'm going to get negative x raised to the 5th power is going to give me a negative x to the 5th. And this is going to be minus negative x to the 4th is going to be a positive x to the 4th, right? But the subtraction is still there, and it doesn't look like either thing. So in other words, my f of negative x is not equal to f of x, nor f of negative x is equal to negative f of x. So therefore, we have neither, which is choice A. There we go. All right, on to number 5. All right, so number 5 is a piecewise function. So it says that f of x is equal to x plus 1 when or if x is greater than 4, and negative x plus 1 if or when x is less than or equal to 4. And it wants you to find f of 1. Okay? So the question is, this 1 right here, is that in this range or is in this range, right? Is it greater than 4 or is it less than or equal to 4? And the answer is that is less than or equal to 4, so therefore I would use this equation right here. Okay, so that is what I would be using. Okay, so that means I'm going to find, so f of 1 is going to equal to negative 1 plus 1. So that's going to equal to negative 2, which is going to be choice A. Okie dokie. Number 6. Number 6. Good old number 6. Another piecewise function. This one says, so we have three pieces. So we got x plus 2 if x is between negative 8 and 4. And it's going to be negative 8 when x is equal to 4, and negative x plus 7 when x is greater than 4. Okay, so that is what I have. Boop. F of x. Okay, so with that being said, so the best way to do this, I'm getting to the end of the page, so I'm just going to take this right here and move it right to the next page right there. All right, so the best thing to do is this. All right, so let's see here. So what I want to do is I'm going to take the points that I can actually read. All right, so I can read that x is equal to 8, right? And x is equal to 4. How do I want to do this? Well, how about I do this way? I'm trying to think of a good way to do this here to show you guys. All right, so if I was to read the first one, I say that x, and it's going to be when x is equal to 8, include 8, meaning a closed circle, right? And I know that x is equal to 4. This is not giving me enough room of what I want to do here. Let me do it this way. Okay. So, let's do this. Let's take this piece right here. Okay. Duplicate. I knew it was going to do that. Put it right here and erase that piece. Okay. So, what I see on this piece is that when x is equal to 8, but including 8, meaning at 8, it's going to be a closed circle. Okay? But at x equals to 4, and not include 4, meaning an open circle. Okay? So if that's the case, then with x, y, so when x is equal to 8, if I plug that in to here, I do not like what I'm doing right now, so I'm just going to rewrite it. Okay, so if I plug in 8, I'm going to get 10. I'm sorry, negative 8. Wow. If I plug in negative 8, I'm going to get a negative 6 for y. So at negative 8, negative 6, I'm going to have a closed circle. Okay? And if I use 4, if I plug 4 in there, I'm going to get positive 6. At 4, 6, it's going to be an open circle. Okay? So that piece is done. Now I'm going to look at f of x is equal to negative 8 when x is equal to 4. Okay? So what does that tell me? That tells me that y is equal to negative 8, x is equal to 4. So what this is telling me is that I have a point 4 comma negative 8, and this is going to be a closed circle. okay? And don't forget, guys, that there is going to be a line between this and this, okay? Of that -8, -6, and 4, 6. There's going to be a line between those two. And at 4, -8, there is going to be a definitely filled in circle, okay? So last part says that f of x is equal to -x plus 7. And that is when x is greater than 4. Well, the only point on here is the 4, right? So let me use a different thing here. Let's go purple. So what this is saying is when x is equal to 4, but not include 4, which means I'm going to have an open circle, okay? So if I was to plug in the if I was to plug in the 4 here for x, what is my y value? Well, -4 plus 7 would give me a 3. So at 4, 3, this is going to be a open circle. All right, so here are my points, right? So I have this open circle at 4, 3. I have a closed circle at 4, -8. I have an open circle at 4, 6. And I have a closed circle at -8, -6. Okay, so let's try to plot this. Hopefully I gave enough space. Ooh. Let me say no. Yep. Okay. I'm okay there. All right. So I have -8, 6. -8, 2, 4, 6, 8. -6, 2, 4, 6. So there's going to be a closed circle there. Let me actually erase that. I know exactly where that is. 2, 4, 6. So I got doomp. And that's going to be filled. All right. So that's why I said, right? -8, -6. I have a closed circle. And then 4, 6. 2, 4. And then 2, 4, 6. I'm going to have an open circle. Okay, and I said that there's going to be a line between these two, so therefore I should have a line here to here. There we go. All right, and then I said that there should be a closed circle at 4, -8. So here's 4, -8, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's all right. There we go. And then I have an open circle at 4, 3. So here's 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's an open circle, but it's all continue on forever and ever. The problem with this is that it doesn't have an endpoint. It goes on forever and ever and ever and ever, right? So what I can do is look at the slope, which says is a -1. So I could go draw this line so it does go down 1, right 1. So now I have this arrow that goes down. So that, ladies and gentlemen, would be my answer, which is, and if you look at these points, this was 4, 3. This was 4, -8. This was 4, 6. And this here is -8, -6. Okay? So based on the x value is which of these functions I would plug it into. And if you look at this, this is going to be choice A. There you go. All right, hopefully that helped you a little bit in terms of understanding that particular problem. All right, on to number 7. All right, I might be able to. Let's see. So let's try this. 7. All right, 7 says it wants to pass through the point 2, 5, but it has to be perpendicular to the line negative 3x plus y minus 6 equal to 0. All right, so what I need in order to write an equation on a line, I need a point and a slope. I have a point. I need a slope. Okay, so that is what this is good for. That's all it is. So in order to find this slope, I have to get y by itself. So if I get y by itself, y is going to equal to a 3x plus 6. So the slope of this line is going to equal to 3. But what I want is the slope that's perpendicular to 3, which I'll have to flip and negate, so it'll be negative 1/3. So now I want to use that slope right there and bring it over here and use it with the point 2, 5 to find the equation of my line. So essentially what I'm telling you is that this part now no longer matters. Okay? You're only going to focus on just those 2 pieces of information. Okay? So my favorite one is y is equal to mx plus b. Plug the y in for y. Plug the m in for m times the x plus b. So what I have now is that 5 is equal to negative 2/3 plus b. So my b is going to equal to, add the 2/3 over to the other side. So I'm going to have a 17/3. So that means my equation is going to be y is going to equal to negative 1/3 x plus 17/3, which would be choice C. There we go. All right. Okie dokie. Let's go to number 8. Number 8. Looking for rate of change. Rate of change, ladies and gentlemen, is just slope. The only difference is that it's giving this to you a little bit differently. So it's not giving you the y value, but it's giving you an equation for the y value. Because x1 is equal to 2 and x2 is equal to 8. Okay? So what I want to do is, how about if I put it this way? So if I have x sub 1 is equal to 2, and I'm going to plug it into f of 2, and that's going to equal to the square root of 2 times 2, which is square root of 4. So when x sub 1 is 2, that means my y is equal to 2. Okay? And then if I use x sub 2 is equal to 8, so I'm looking for f of 8. So that's going to equal to the square root of 2 times 8. So that tells me that my y value is going to equal to 2 times 8 is 16. Square root of 16 is equal to 4. So I could even say that my y sub 1 is 2 and my y sub 2 is 4. So it is the change in y over the change in x is my slope. So it's going to be 4 minus 2, that's the change in y, over the change in x, which is 8 minus 2. So I'm getting a 2 over 6. So my slope is going to be, or the rate of change is going to be 1/3, which is choice B. All right, there we go. Number 9. Number 9, so it defines f of x as 9x minus 3. It defines g of x as 3x plus 4. And it wants you to find f g, right? When it says that, it means f times g of x. So in other words, it wants me to, which this all this means is take f of x and multiply it to g of x. Okay, so let's replace it. F of x is 9x minus 3. G of x is 3x plus 4. So it's just telling me to multiply these two binomials, which means I have to FOIL. So I have 27x squared plus 36x minus 9x minus 12. So f times g of x is equal to 27x squared plus 27x minus 12. Which is choice C. There we go. Whoa. Not sure what to do. There we go. Let's try that. Yeah, that worked. And there we go. All right. And number 10. Okay, number 10. All right, so this gives me two functions. F of x is equal to 10 over x plus 10. G of x is equal to 10 divided by x. Okay, and what's looking for is the composite, or the domain for the composite of f composite g. And what that means is that it wants you to take the g of x and plug it into f of x. Okay, so in other words, it wants to find the f of 10 over x, which means whatever x is, replace it with 10 over x in that f function. So this is going to be 10 all over 10 over x plus 10. Okay, so, and now it wants me to find the domain. Okay, so for me to find the domain, I gotta find some restrictions. And we look at this, couple of issues here, right? The first issue is that as a whole, I cannot have this denominator be 0, right? So that's the first thing. Restriction 1. 10 over x plus 10 cannot equal to 0. That's number 1. Okay? So if I was to solve for this, then the way I would do it is say, okay, I got 10 over x subtracted 10 cannot equal to negative 10. And then multiply both sides by x, I got 10 cannot equal to negative 10x. So divide both sides by negative 10, so that means x cannot be negative 1. So there's one restriction right there that will help me. Okay? Second issue. In this small fraction here, that little x right there can't be 0, right? So because if that x is 0, then 10 over 0 will be undefined. That means that undefined fraction plus 10 will be undefined as well. So that is my next one. So also, so restriction 2, x, my x cannot equal to 0. Now, is there anything else? No, because there's only really two denominators here, right? The big denominator and that little tiny denominator. So those are my two restrictions. If those are my two restrictions, that means I can have anything else. So if I was to draw this on the number line, that means, let's say there is negative 1 here and 0 here, right? So that means at 0, there's going to be an open circle, and at 1, there'll be an open circle. Okay? But everywhere else is fine. So I have this line, I have this line, and I have this line. That means domain-wise, I can use anything else except for those 2 points. So if I was to look at it, this would be going towards negative. And you know what I should do? Let me erase that. Let me select this style. Let's use purple. There we go. All right, so if that's the case, that this is pointing to negative infinity, this is pointing to positive infinity, right? And then I got the negative 1 and negative 1 to 0 and 0 to positive infinity. So I would write this as negative infinity to negative 1, but doesn't touch negative 1, from negative 1 to 0 without touching negative 1 nor 0, and then from 0 to infinity without touching that 0, and then union the 2. So that, however, is my choice B. So that would be my answer. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right, so there is my answer right there. All right, so hopefully this kind of helped you a little bit. I know that this was kind of stumbling a little bit. I didn't really think about the layout of it, but essentially the biggest part is to take the essential points that is given to you, and don't forget that this is what tells me, this right here is what tells me if it's an open circle or tells me it's a closed circle, right? Because of the less than or equal to, right? And you notice that this was greater than, so it gave me an open circle as well, where this was an equal to, so therefore it was going to be a closed circle, okay? So that's the biggest part. Hey, if you have any questions, let me know. See ya. Bye.